Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Aya Life in Yap City by, wait for me to butcher this, Marguerite Abouet. It's French and I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. This is a bind-up of the first 3 issues of the Aya graphic novel series. It was originally published in French and then eventually translated into English. I first heard about this because of Dee on Frenchy D absolutely raves about this graphic novel series, and now that I've read it, I kind of understand why. This story takes place on the Ivory Coast of Africa in 1978 through about 1980. The stories in here are slightly autobiographical. The author says that this is kind of based on the life and the people that she remembers, but it isn't anything like directly from her life or anything like that. It's not a memoir. Basically, the story follows a 19-year-old Aya who is very studious, and her family, as well as a couple of her friends and just a bunch of the different people who live in her city. I really enjoy the illustration style in this graphic novel series. Everything is completely full color and all of the characters have very distinct looks to them, which is really nice because you can definitely tell who's who in this story, although it takes a minute to figure it all out. In this edition of the graphic novel, there is a preface which explains a little bit about the Ivory Coast, especially during this time of the late 1970s, early 80s, which I think is really nice because I don't think there is a lot of history given to people in the English-speaking countries about this part of the world. And there's also a section in the back that provides more information about the Ivory Coast and this time period and just some different things about the culture, which was really interesting. That's not at all related to the stories. It's just sort of like, here's some information about the local cuisine and things like that, which I liked. This graphic novel is basically just one giant soap opera, so if you are someone who likes really dramatic stories, I felt like this could have easily been a nighttime soap on like ABC, just like Grey's Anatomy or Scandal or any of those types of shows. So if you like those really dramatic storylines, you'll probably really like this. There's nothing about this book that makes it specific to the Ivory Coast. It very much is one of those situations where these people could probably be found in any country, in any time period, in any situation. There are people just cheating on their spouses and sleeping around and getting pregnant and, you know, trying to figure out their lives, and just a lot of drama between even just the people who are friends. The Aya character is kind of like the moral compass in the story. She creates the least amount of drama, but at the same time she is also not very understanding to what's happening to her friends and family members and things like that, which is probably her biggest flaw. The way these stories are put together, you're following multiple storylines at once, and so each spread is usually its own story, so it's kind of like you're jumping around from scene to scene on a TV show. Sometimes it feels a little bit stilted, and I'm not sure if that has to do with the translation aspect of the story, but sometimes when you're jumping back and forth between stories, it feels like you're not fully invested in any of them. But some of the storylines are expanded upon more than others, so then you definitely do feel more invested in those storylines and you want to see what's going to happen to those characters. But sometimes it feels like it jumps around a little bit too much, which was a little bit of a downside for me. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I read this in 2 sittings because I read the first 2 issues in one sitting and then I read the last issue in another sitting, and the only reason why I waited is because I had to go to bed because I had work the next day. In the end, I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I am definitely going to be ordering the next bind-up in this series. It's just a really fun story. It's one of those stories that you can really sort of escape to. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Aya Life in Yap City. If you have read this graphic novel, feel free to leave your comments down below letting me know what you thought of it, or if you have any questions, feel free to leave that down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching.